Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. On this edition of the State of the Saints podcast, we will be talking about the New Orleans Saints Week 13 matchup versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Falcons' loss and how that affects the Saints. And of course, we're going to be talking about anything that you all have to say, any comments. We're going to be doing that. Not going to talk very long, I promise you that, but I just definitely wanted to do a show today leading up to the Monday Night Football game. Pretty sure a lot of people know already probably why you're so relaxed and happy and zen and centered in right now, because the New Orleans Saints did not play today at all. So I guess, you can go and watch other teams fight for stuff that actually matters instead of watching the New Orleans Saints do what the New Orleans Saints have been doing over the last couple of weeks. But let's go ahead and talk about this Week 13 matchup. The New Orleans Saints, who are 4-8, are going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as of right now, are the number one team in the NFC South. I mean, that doesn't mean absolutely anything. As you know, today the Atlanta Falcons lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're now 5-8. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not a good football team. They just winning by default at this particular point. They 5-6, and it's pretty bad football all around, to be honest with you. The New Orleans Saints, they have to win this game. They have to go to Raymond James Stadium, which I understand it's an away game, but that's not a real big home field advantage in my opinion. Raymond James Stadium ain't rocking, ain't going crazy or nothing like that. To me, it's basically just another place to play. And honestly, the way the Saints have been performing as of late, it seems like they need to be away from the Superdome in order for them to generate any type of level of success. The fact is, I feel like they play defensively better. I feel like some of the things that they try to do, maybe the fact that they are away, they understand the sense of urgency more. So maybe a change of scenery will help them. They need to win this football game, and how you do so is by putting pressure on Tom Brady, which is going to be hard to do. Tristan Wirfs is not going to be playing in this game. It's star right tackle, and we know that Tom Brady has been trying to get the ball out of his hands in under 2 seconds, since they've been having issues on the offensive line all season long. You also have Leonard Fournette, who is dealing with an injury. But honestly, I'm wondering to myself, has he been dealing with injuries all year? Because he hasn't been playing well. As a matter of fact, I think he's maybe like the third best running back on the football team as of right now. Chris Godwin seems to be getting back. The Saints have to find a way to try to neutralize him. Over the last couple of weeks, I'm starting to see more flashes of the Chris Godwin of old. Mike Evans, who is a guy who can make some plays, but we know that Marshawn Lattimore more than likely is going to be back. Marshawn Lattimore, I'm pretty sure when he was dealing with his injuries and he was looking at a game that he could possibly come back for, he would not miss a matchup versus Mike Evans for the world. I mean, especially how things ended up last time, him getting ejected from the game, sucker punch by Mike Evans, pushing the guy in the back, only because, Tom Brady was upset, that started the fight because he realized that his man was getting locked up. So instead of, trying to be a competitor and trying to find ways to strategically go up against Marshawn Lattimore, instead, he played the victim and initiate and weaponize his wide receiver to retaliate on Lattimore. I mean, that's just my honest opinion. That's just the way that, I'm looking at it. But I know he wasn't going to miss this game. I expect for him to do what he always does on Mike Evans, which is neutralize him. I'm looking for some of these younger cornerbacks to take the extra step. I'm liking what I've been seeing over the last couple of weeks when it comes to Alontae Taylor, when it comes to, Paulson Adebo. The Saints are starting to get a little bit healthier in the secondary, even though they won't have P.J. Williams in this game. But the more chances that you have an opportunity to put Chris Harris Jr. on the sidelines is a good day. All right. But that's what the Saints need to do. They need to make sure that they win their matchups. The New Orleans Saints, to me, match up really well versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The whole entire time, from the time Sean Payton was here and now that Dennis Allen is here, I feel like this team was designed to be able to neutralize and go toe-to-toe with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The problem is the Saints have not compensated for the involvement of the National Football League, the ability for the quarterbacks to be able to throw the ball in the pocket as well as be able to escape. And I feel like that has been the issue when it comes to the New Orleans Saints defense. As far as them understanding assignments, I think they do. But I think sometimes when you don't have a game plan or got guys that really match up really good defensively when it comes to getting the ball, on rollouts and stuff like that, being able to set the edges. I think that's been the Saints' biggest issue. Tom Brady isn't going anywhere. Tom Brady is a freaking statue. He's going to stand there and he's going to look and try to find ways to get the ball to his receivers and his playmakers. So if the Saints can be able to rattle him a little bit, be able to disguise some things, maybe they can be able to come away with the victory. Both teams seem like they've been anemic when it comes to scoring. Both of these teams' offenses seem to be getting in their way. I don't know if it's just coaching. I think it is. Well, I think it is. I think it's from both sides, to be honest. The fact of Ty Bowles and Dennis Allen, I feel like two guys that are really good coordinators but not really good head coaches. On the offensive side of football, man, who are we kidding? Just score some freaking points. I mean, last week you didn't score anything. You didn't score any points. I mean, that's kind of like the way the NFL goes, right? It goes like, you get the ball, you try to go downfield, and you try to get points. So how about we try to get some points on the board? Last week, the New Orleans Saints went goose egg for the first time in over 20 years. Andy Dalton will be the starting quarterback. Don't understand why. If you're looking for a guy to generate a spark, if you're looking for a guy talking about offensive efficiency, whatever. I mean, but you can have as much offensive efficiency as you want to, but you don't have absolutely nothing to show for it. I feel like him playing in this game, talking Dalton, is an indictment on Jameis Winston. It's just pretty obvious that the New Orleans Saints just do not like Jameis Winston, because you cannot tell me that the New Orleans Saints have done enough with Andy Dalton for you not to even contemplate even seeing a Jameis Winston. The fact that you have Jameis Winston dressing every week, the fact that you have him in the huddles every week, the fact that you parade him out here with the big C across the crest of his jersey and you're talking as if you're looking out for his overall health is a bunch of BS, okay? And the fact that you think that Andy Dalton give this team a better spark is some BS as well, all right? Because in reality, this team has absolutely no spark. That's the biggest issue. Okay, you might get a spark from a certain player from time to time. You might see a catch that you wasn't expecting, but for the most part, this team is boring. This team seems like they have absolutely no identity. And the fact that you have Andy Dalton out here yet again going up against a Tampa Bay defense when you know more times than not it's going to be the same exact thing we've seen over the last couple of weeks is pretty much laughable. But just for the sake of argument and entertainment purposes, what the Saints need to do offensively is be able to run the football. Now, I understand in years past, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been really, really good at stopping the run. But there are a lot of ways that, teams can run against them, and they have found success running against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think with the absence of Ndamukong Suh not being on his team this year, even though he was up there in age, he's playing for the Eagles right now, but he was really, really good at run stopping, him along with Vita Veda, who has been doing a good job. But I mean, the way that they are structured defensively, teams have been able to run against them. As far as the wide receivers, look, the Saints have to find ways to get the ball into the hands of guys like Chris Olave. Juwan Johnson isn't playing in this game. He's dealing with an injury. But you got to find ways to get the ball into the hands of guys like Olave, get creative with guys like Rashid Shaheed, get creative with ways with Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara. You got to be able to give them more production. And you cannot just sit on some of these offensive plays just because they didn't work 2 or 3 times. You got to find ways to do this. All right. So that's what the Saints need to do in order to win. Do I think the Saints going to win this game? Yes, I think the Saints are going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's just very, very simple. The Saints get motivated when they play against Tampa. All the things that happened with Tampa last time and some of the things that Tampa are going through, I just think that the Saints are going to be motivated to win this football game. So the year of misery continues for us as Saints fans, but the Saints will go 5-8 in my honest opinion. They will knock off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into their bye week, coming back out of their bye week, giving us hope that more than likely we shouldn't have. All right, but that's what I feel about it. I'll go ahead and read some of your comments. They want to hold you long, but let's go ahead and read some of these comments and get started there. It says, just don't lose too bad. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Make it competitive. Don't lay down. Now, I don't think the Saints. I don't think the Saints are going to lay down, Chosen. I don't. I think that they're going to play inspired football. I think that they're going to try to do everything they can to win. I mean, that's what they've been doing the whole season. I don't think that's a testament to DA. I really don't. Like some people are like, well, the locker room didn't quit on them. That's because the Saints have built the locker room over the last 4 to 5 years with guys with high character. And these guys, they care. They got high character, so they're going to go out there and play. I don't see the Saints quitting. I've never seen the Saints just flat out quit, and I don't expect for them to quit. I expect for them to continue to play because those guys are professionals. They've done a good job in that regard. But it's in spite of Dennis Allen. So if Dennis Allen goes out there and get the win, I don't feel like it's because he gave them this rah-rah speech to inspire them or move them. The dude is a lame duck coach. And you have people that are constantly going on social media trying to double down. Oh, it ain't DA fault. Oh, it's his first year. Man, miss me with that stuff. Like, how many years of ineptitude do y'all need? How many years of bad coaching do you need to see from this guy to see that he will never get it together? He probably can get some guys that can be on the coaching staff, but eventually we're going to end up coming to this point because it comes a time when a head coach needs to make a tough decision in a real-time game situation that can decide the game. And the only thing that you can say about Dennis Allen is the fact that around the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, you're probably going to have 3 timeouts because he's so conservative. I mean, that doesn't make you a good coach. Okay. I mean, that makes you, that makes you time on task. That makes you organized, but you can be organized all you want to, but how are you helping your team win a football game? In my opinion, Dennis Allen can't do that unless he's coaching a defense of a team. I know the record isn't good, but the game we're definitely winning. Olave and Shaheed will come up big, and all y'all Saints haters will see. We not going against Patrick. It's Brady. Nothing new. Yeah, look, I look, all these people, like, to be honest with you, with all due respect, Warrior of God, why would anybody be hating on the Saints in 2022? Like, seriously, like, what? Why would anybody be hating on the Saints? I don't know. Like, what do we actually have that anybody else would want, except for that 6th pick as of right now that Philly got? I mean, they have not done anything for us to really just be honestly juiced up about. The thing that is keeping us around has nothing to do with offensive, defense, or special teams, or coaching, or any of that stuff. What keeps us around is the fact that we love this football team, and we are willing to subject ourselves to boredom and subject ourselves to ineptitude because we love this football team. But if anybody's jealous of the New Orleans Saints in 2022, I don't know what to tell you. But as far as you know, Tom Brady, yes, I feel like Father Time is tapping him on the shoulder, and I think it's telling him it's time to go. It's time to go. We're about to take a whole L. I think they'll win. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, what up, TJ? Who that? Primetime Andy will get it done tomorrow night. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Case in point, primetime Andy. Somebody please run up Andy Dalton's. Somebody runs up Andy Dalton record in primetime. Hasn't won a primetime game since 2014. So there you go. Texas Saint, do you have a podcast show? If you do, can you put it in the link? Says we going to have to put up 24 to win this game. I think the Saints going to put up points in this game. I mean, if they don't put up points in this game, then yeah, it's more serious than we thought. It's just the fact that none of these teams just want to go away, man. Like, nobody wants to separate themselves. Everybody losing like every single week. It's like when you think that a team has a 2-game lead, I mean, that 2-game lead goes into half of a game lead real quick when everybody in the division loses. Winston stinks. He's a backup at best. Not sure why any Saints fans like him. Let's see. After having Breeze, people want to think Jameis is good. It's not about being good. It's not about being good. The truth is, Andy Dalton stinks. I mean, let's just be real about this. Like, this dude ain't good enough to sustain a starting job. See, I think some of you don't understand this. Like, y'all think that people are clamoring and asking for Jameis Winston because they feel like he leaps and bounds better than Andy Dalton. That's not the case. The obvious, the honest reason why people are feeling this way is because Andy Dalton isn't good. I mean, how can anybody like really fix their face just to say that Andy Dalton is good enough to lead this team anywhere? If anything, like I feel like anybody that's okay with Andy Dalton being a quarterback is the problem, because that's where we became as Saints fans. This is where we become. We become fixated with mediocre quarterbacks that can throw the ball down the field, from any Mike White pass to any I don't know any Taylor Heineke play. Like we have subjected ourselves and come to a point where we just take anything where a guy can throw 2 first downs on a drive, and it's sad. All right, my whole solution to this issue is, well, not solution, but my biggest issue, I should say, is the fact that people are looking at Andy Dalton like this dude, like that just leaps and bounds better. Like this dude is not very good, and your season is on the line. So you should be trying to find ways to try to generate a spark. You can say whatever you want about Jameis Winston. You can talk about his past. You can talk about the turnovers in 2019, but what you cannot say about him is that anytime this dude has played in a game, even when he's been hurt, you haven't seen like some level of excitement. But I'm telling you right now, like I'm serious. I know some people, don't like Jameis. I understand it. I completely 100% understand it. But I do feel this way. When the Saints were down in Atlanta, this man brought them back from 16. When the Saints were down against Carolina, this man threw almost 400 yards trying to get these boys back into the game. So we know that he's capable of generating a comeback. Haven't seen it from Andy Dalton. Haven't seen like that spark, that excitement. It's boring. I just want some. I just want some excitement. If anything, you can find out what you can have for the future, which we already know is not Jameis Winston because he's not playing. But dang, you know what I'm saying? Y'all not going anywhere anyway. You can pretend, that y'all just have everything under control with Andy Dalton. But I mean, you got to try different things in order to try to generate a spark. At this point, I just think that it's just ridiculous. Jameis is where he belongs, on the bench. I mean, Andy Dalton needs to be with him. Like I said, I just don't understand that. Like, Andy Dalton is not good. A Saints win, Brian. Let's see. Dallas fan tried to tell us about Dalton. The New Orleans Pelicans are in second place right now. That's something positive. Dalton is simply a game manager. This team isn't a playoff team. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like the truth. That's my whole point. If they're not a playoff team, why are we sitting up here trying to pretend like they will be and they have a better chance with Andy Dalton as the quarterback? That's all I'm saying. Like, you're not going nowhere anyway, and he hasn't done enough. Like this man has thrown no touchdowns, no interceptions in the last game. Didn't do anything. Like, what are we talking about? If we're talking about touchdown to interception ratios, well, the reality is if you put the percentage of Jameis Winston and the percentage of Andy Dalton, it's pretty much the same. So Andy Dalton got almost just as many touchdowns, interception percentage than Jameis Winston have. He has more, of course, because he played in more games, but this percentage is pretty much the same. So if you're trying to preach, oh, he keeps the ball safe, he protects the football. Does he really? Does he really protect the football that much better? Just hope we can score points. Get used to Dalton for the rest of the year. It's pretty sad that Dennis Allen won't make any changes. The only thing he did was change the quarterback situation and refused to do the right thing. Honestly, I don't even know what the right thing is. I just know they need to try something different. This team is boring. Like I went back and just to kind of go over like some things about the game and like some plays and some tendencies. I'm like, man, this is a boring football team right now. When will DA ever go for it on fourth down? When it's the fourth quarter and they ain't got no other choice. DA gonna bring Dalton back next year. Yeah, he probably will. He probably will. I can't lie about that. I mean, birds of a feather flock together. The only thing Dennis stands on is the stupid decision he made and he refused to come off of. That's the only thing he has a backbone about. Mm. Let's see. I just hate the conservative play style, man. It's gross and boring. Yeah, I mean, it's just too conservative. Like they do not like to take risk at all in New Orleans. Like it's crazy how night and day this team is. Like Sean Payton to go for it on fourth down in the first quarter, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy how this team just refuses to go for risk. Like try to fight, like try to get 1 yard. Like I don't know, conceding to the fact, oh, they defense better than mine. What? Man, you out your freaking mind. Like, if you can't get 1 yard, like, okay, we not even gonna try to run the football, we gonna punt it. Or we gonna try to throw the ball four straight times because we can't run the football. Man, give me a freaking break. Like that kind of stuff right there is ridiculous. You manage a game by winning. Get off here, clown. I'm with you, TJ. It's time quarterback change. Yeah, I mean, it's whole quarterback. Like I said, I gotta calm down. I gotta calm down, man. Cause it's ridiculous how people just I don't know, man. Like where's the backbone? Like where's the spine? Like where's the oomph? Like I understand that Drew Brees has retired 2 years ago. But the the things that we just are okay with, like the things that we just like accepted in the Who That Nation. Like, my goodness, man. Like, why is it so like I like even if you're not the biggest Jameis Winston supporter, how can you possibly sit up here looking at this team as boring as they are and how uninteresting as they are and how they need a spark in some plays, and you can just sit up here and just say, man, well, I know we losing, but I'm a roll with Andy Dalton. Like, seriously, is your anger and hate and I don't know bias for some people that huge that you can't just sit up here and just be like, okay, man, let's see what this dude has. It can't be no worse. Like some people like just literally refuse to like even just fathom the thought of Jameis Winston not playing. Like, honestly, Jameis Winston has more better games in New Orleans as a quarterback than Andy Dalton does. And yet you all are ready to sit here and just be like, okay, man, put Andy Dalton in. Are you freaking kidding me? Jameis Winston has done more positive things in a Saints uniform as a starter than Andy Dalton. But some of you who are still holding on to 2019, you combine 2019 to the games that he played this season, and you're like, well, Andy Dalton is better. Like, go back and look at the starts that Jameis Winston had combined, his stats, and look at Andy Dalton's, and you tell me who had better games and who had worse. That's all I'm saying. I mean, not enough for him to get an opportunity. That's all I ask. Like that, what? Taysom is better than both of them, if you ask me. At this particular point, like at this point, I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't even care. Like, I'm not the biggest Taysom fan. I am not. But at this point, I don't even care. Like, that's like you got to find something. You got to find something in order for you to be able to like generate a spark. If you're talking seriously about trying to make a playoff run, I mean, you're not going to make it. But if you want to do it, like, why not try to any solution? That decision is solely based on Jameis Aaron out. Let me see and not play. Let's see. I guess I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is. Let's see. Laughing, there it is. He's a Taysom fan. Truth be told, bro, Jameis ain't the answer. Either him or Dalton. Why, like, why? Man, it's not about the answer. Not like we can accept and concede none of these, like honestly, as the way the team is looking, the way the organization is saying all these things, and the way that they're structured, none of these guys are the answer. So at this point, like, okay, am I supposed to say, well, since none of them the answer, let me go with Andy Dalton, who is not the answer? Like, think about that. Like, I'm just gonna be solely in on if it's basically like, and I'm not calling these guys dumb or anything like that, but it's like the Three Stooges, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got Curly, Larry, and Moe, guess what? Collectively, they the Three Stooges, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you have Andy Dalton and he's bad, if you have Jameis Winston and you say he's bad, and you have Taysom Hill, you say he's bad, what's the difference? Like, so why are we sitting up here like focusing in on one quarterback? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, why? Why? I can understand. Like, look, if it's a young kid coming in out of college, and yeah, you know what I'm saying, he probably on that level right now, but he has the potential of reaching a different level by playing him. Yeah, that's fine. But both guys have been starters on other teams, right? Pretty, you know what I'm saying, like franchise quarterbacks at one time, or looked at as franchise quarterbacks, and it didn't pan out for them in their respected organization. So I think that's what you call an equal playing field. So why are we sitting up here like trying to pretend, okay, if they all bad, they suck, they all bad. If they all bad, then what's the issue? What's the issue then? Why not try Taysom? Why not try James or somebody else? They have racism at the root of most of them comments. No, I think they have misinformed as many of the comments, to be honest with you. And it's not even about just being not just on top of being misinformed, but also people that refuse to research or try to see a narrative played out. See, a lot of the times where we get caught up as fans or we get caught up as people is when we feel like we start reading the dirt sheets and we start reading cliff notes to decide who a person actually is. I'll be back to you, Joey, to find out what a person is. And some of us, we feel like we read the whole book, but we just read the first page. So when it comes to Jameis Winston, turnovers back in 2019, unfixable, yada, yada, yada. And then you look at the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Well, they ain't want him because they wanted Deshaun Watson. And look how quick they snatched him off the field. So you got all these different things right here. A lot of the stuff is basically formulated thoughts in our minds that we came up with, and we made a theory on our own. And then you have other people out there that just refuse to look at this dude seriously, since everybody's been telling you since 2019 he the worst quarterback in all of football. So a lot of people are just prisoners of their own, but I guess that prisoners of their own delusions at times, or the fact, or some people's information, like they just hold on to it, and they don't look at a guy or evaluate a guy fairly. I don't know. All I know is if we gonna just continue to talk about this dude and say, oh, he wasn't good, and he ain't good enough, and Andy Dalton is just that much better than he is, like I just think that that's just crazy. People hate Jameis because it's trendy to do so, so hate him to troll his fans. I think a lot of people just don't like Jameis. Once again, is because the narrative has been to hate Jameis. Like some of us, we on that. A lot of people are like the mice in the book, The Pied Piper. You start playing the Pied Piper, and here we come dancing down the street. You know what I'm saying? Like dancing to the music. Jameis sucks. Jameis sucks. Jameis sucks. And here we come dancing with it. Oh, 2019. Here we come dancing down the street. So that's the way I feel. A lot of us like hold on to that narrative, and we really didn't evaluate this man fairly as a Saint. Yes, he had some bad games, and yes, you know what I'm saying, like maybe he didn't have enough built up capital, and that's fair, because if we're gonna talk about Dennis Allen and going back to Oakland and his days right there, and we're using what he's doing this year to kind of add on to our feelings about it, I guess I can understand it from a certain perspective. But what I don't But what I can't is the fact that he did more positive in the Saints uniform as a starter than he did negative. And so I don't know. So I just don't understand like how anybody be like couldn't be like, man, let's try to give him a shot again. Like not to even like mention it is puzzling. Jameis would if he had 30 interceptions by now if we were started. But it's fun, right? Uh, you say Jameis would have had 30 interceptions. That's the whole thing right there. See, he goes back to the 30 interceptions because he has nothing else to stand on. Nothing else to stand on. So we just gonna crack jokes about the interceptions. So but that's what I'm saying. Like it's always 20, like it's always 2019 to validate a Jameis fact. It's never like, oh, I seen this in the game. Like what do you see like in a Saints uniform? You know what I'm saying? More times than not. So it always goes back to the 30 interceptions. So when you start talking about the 30 interceptions, I just automatically like just realize that your whole logic and thought patterns are basically are created by mainstream media. I ain't trying to disrespect anybody, but that's the way I feel. Like, how can you like this man has been in with the New Orleans Saints organization for like what his third season, and we still talking about 2019. I wouldn't mind conservative play if we were winning, but we losing and we playing boring. Hell nah. The Spurs were boring to watch, but at least they was winning. Exactly. Josh says, I don't see how one can really say after watching this season that Dalton is the answer. I mean, me neither. Jameis Winston got hurt in the first game because of the old line was so at the time, which led him to being hurt. And the next few games, asked our coach why put a quarterback in that situation. Yeah, he was hurt in the game. I mean, he already came out there and said that. But I will say this: when it comes to Jameis' team, a lot of people feel like, because his team is like so involved, it rubs them the wrong way. And it's like he has a bunch of individuals on social media who are willing to come and flock to him and try to justify, all, what I'm saying, like try to justify the shortcomings or, how he has to have like pristine situations in order to evolve. Oh, the old line wasn't blocking, or, like, he had his back was hurt this day, or he averaged this many yards. Like a lot of people like him, they tired of analytics, they tired of the excuses, and that's the reason why they kind of come at him the way that they do. But I just feel like a guy needs a fair shot to be able to change the narrative. And and a lot of us were like Dennis Allen. The first line of trouble we saw, we was ready to jump off the Jameis Winston cliff. And I don't know. He light up the Giants last year. You did not just say that. You see, who you talking about? He lit up the Giants last year. Oh, I guess we just trying to talk about how Jameis Winston shouldn't be in the game. I got you. Why not put it Hill? At least he will be on the team next year. Let's see. Talking Winston and Dalton is a waste of time. Neither will be here next year. The truth, I mean, it is worth talking about because I'm talking about the 5-game stretch here. Now after this year, maybe it's not worth talking about. Maybe it's not worth talking about, but right now, it is worth talking about because the Saints still have a chance to make the playoffs, as crazy as that sounds. And how do you make the playoff can't determine by who is the signal caller. What about the Green Bay game? What about that one? Yeah, when he threw 5 touchdowns in week 1. We got so many more topics to discuss than this trash quarterback room. We beating this into the ground. Uh, definitely beating this into the ground. But look, the quarterback position, Juve, is the most important position on the field. So anytime there's a quarterback controversy or a quarterback injury, it's going to be talked about ad nauseum. That's just the way that it is. I mean, what other topics can we talk about when it comes to this team? If we're talking about Saints and Tampa Bay. I mean, it all starts, to be honest with you, with the quarterback position. Like, no matter how good the defense comes out here and plays, as we seen last week, they played outstanding, right? They played really, really good. They held a team that scored 33 points today in the San Francisco 49ers to 13 points last week, right? So that's a really good defense. What happens when your defense has a lights out performance like that? Well, your offense can't score a measly point. Not a field goal, not a safety, not a touchdown, not a like a Georgia special teams play. None of this, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Like, how can you talk about the defense? Oh, they need to get pressure on Tom Brady. Where that's gonna come from? Will it come from Davenport? Oh, I don't know. You can sack the quarterback all day and night. Will the Saints get a turnover? I think so. They probably will get a turnover because Tampa Bay Buccaneers like to throw the ball a little bit more than other teams. But I mean, it all starts with the offense, especially what we saw last week. What we saw last week. What we saw last week is not going to get it done, no matter what you bring out there. Like, no matter what type of defense you try to play, no matter how much pressure you get on Tom Brady, no matter how much stopping of the run you do, no matter how much neutralizing of the wide receivers you do with tight ends, if you cannot put points on the board, you're not going to win a football game. Simple as that. Ain't James signed for 2 years? Yeah, he got 1 more year left. Let me see. I really don't want to believe that. Don't want to believe it of DA, but I'm 63 years old and can play quarterback if they block for me. Who that all? All right. We gonna read a few more comments, then we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. I told you I wasn't gonna be a long show. Just wanted to talk to everybody because I haven't had a podcast in the last couple of days, man. Really wasn't much to talk about. I mean, if you a Jackson State alumni like myself, it's a lot to talk about today. But outside of the Atlanta Falcons losing today, making it more interesting in NFC South, I will say it was really fun. It was really fun, like watching games and not be emotionally invested in the games, but just to watch it as a fan. I was watching the NFL Red Zone as I was washing dishes, and I seen the Jets and the Vikings, and I can only imagine the Jets, fans that are so excited about how the season is going right now, and you're going up against a team in the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis, and they only lost 2 games, and you have a chance to win, and you have your backup quarterback and Mike White, who was out there battling for over 300 yards, and how these guys are playing out there, playing out their soul for this dude in order for him to be the starter next week. And and it comes down to a goal line situation, and they get a goal line stop. Like, can you imagine like that being your team to decide to win? So it's good to watch games and remember why we love football so much in the first place. Of course, we love the Saints, but we want them to play better. But it's just the majesty of watching offensive innovation, defenses of coming up with stops and turnovers. And, it's amazing to see, and how a fan base can get so excited because they know their team is about to make the playoffs because they, got a 1 seed or a 2 seed like we used to be so happy about in years past. So it was fun. It was fun. You mean to tell me that Green Bay gave up 5 touchdowns to the defense? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Well, it's over. Deion is going back to the bottom. Look, I don't believe that. Look, that's the problem I have with, a lot of people. We just, I don't know, man. The whole Deion Sanders situation, when it comes to Jackson State, him leaving, if you want to hear what I completely say about it, I encourage you to check out the State of the Swag podcast. I talked a little bit about him leaving and what I thought about it, but man, I feel like Jackson State's still going to be okay. But I just think that the next person that they hire, it needs to be somebody that's serious about staying a little bit longer than Coach Prime probably originally wanted to stay anyway. I feel like Jackson State was kind of just used, to try to elevate his portfolio. Fair enough, but now that we got something established, now that we, got some momentum, if we can, kind of use that momentum, maybe get somebody that's, that's active, somebody that's gonna work hard and not just somebody that's out there with some Beijing in their head who is really like probably 70 years old, but they trying to, look like they about 50 or 40, like let's get ourselves like a young, vibrant coach, that can speak to some of these young guys, that can motivate these young guys. And yeah, we probably ain't about to get all these different stars, 4 and 5 star athletes and stuff like that, like Coach Prime can do. But if you can get yourself some talented guys and collectively they can come together and win, that'll be great. But I digress. As long as Jackson State doesn't get a Dennis Allen, they will be all right. Yeah, he ain't lying. Yeah, don't send Dennis Allen. Now Dennis Allen can coach Jackson State defense, but he can't. He can't be the head coach. He can coach defense though. O'Shawn and defense put up points. Bet. I understand, Brian, but second round pick. No, let me see. No, indeed not. Let's see. Who in the chat said he was a great quarterback? Nobody said he has better arm talent than Dalton and Hill, though. That's all I'm saying. What I'm saying is like it ain't got nothing to do with this. Like we trying to look at this matter of factly. Like, like he not good. Okay. Well, Adidas Andy Dalton, if you want to put it like that. So why not start him? If we all in agreement that all of them leave something to be desired, why not? Yeah, y'all are. He left y'all in good hands. Y'all, he's saying hands, just a little salty from the L. Go Jags. Yeah, look, I can understand that, but I will say this: shouts out to Southern. They made it interesting towards the end, and who knows if they would have probably put McDaniel in the game at the beginning, would that game have went awry the way that it did? Probably. Who knows? Because that dude was out there. That boy was out there wheeling and dealing, and to me, as a quarterback, he was smarter than the starter that was out there as far as making decisions. I ain't saying the guy's dumb. I'm just saying as far as reading defenses. But I mean, it's good to win. It's good to get that dub. Going to the Celebration Bowl. I just think that my biggest, the only thing I can say as a Jackson State alumni and a supporter of the team, the only thing that bothers me was the stuff after the game, like him trying to speed up the whole SWAC championship trophy presentation process, so he can get back to campus, so he can talk to the team, so he can hop on that red out of Colorado. I think that was classless. I think that was very, very classless right there, because it was almost like, I got something else to do. Like, you already didn't tell these kids that, that you was leaving. You didn't make it official, right? And a lot of them probably felt like you used them because you're telling them after they just won something, and something that the school has not done since the 90s, which is win back-to-back SWAC championships. So you basically telling us at the end, after we given our blood, sweat, and tears, hurt ourselves and did all these different things, came out there flying all around for you, and then you turn around and just tell us that after we did all these things. So they probably felt like a little used. And then on top of that, some of the shots at the city of Jackson, talking about the facilities and all that kind of stuff. I just, like, we understand that, Colorado, I think they have like maybe like the top 5. They got like the top 5 training facilities like among college football. Like, they just built like a state of the art facility, I think, back in 2015, and they added more bells and whistles as time went on. So we understand that, but just taking little shots at that, and also just joking around with the Jackson media and stuff like that, like you wasn't going to leave, and putting people mind at ease in order for you to just kind of slip out of the door. And a lack of appreciation, not even to show up at the press conference for the SWAC championship, a conference that actually gave you an opportunity when other schools wasn't going to give it to you. That's what I that's the only thing that bothers me. Not so much about the decision of him leaving, but just the shots that he took out the door. That was just classless to me. I had people was talking about, like I'm talking about, like, as soon as he left, he hopped on a plane. And we have like a special tradition after every game where when we win, we play the alma mater or whatever. It's like, everybody put their one in the air and we sing the, Jackson fight song or school song. And, you can just see like at the end of when the last little beat played, Shedeur Sanders just dips out, right? And just leaves, like walks off the field. And people was like, oh, he not happy about leaving. But a couple hours later, he's smiling from ear to ear with a Colorado hat on. Just tacky stuff, man. Just tacky stuff. But look, I never get mad at a guy from chasing some bread though. As long as it's legal. TJ, how you think it'll be with Alontae Taylor and Marshawn get back? Well, I think that you have yourself something there. And also with Paulson and Debo. Look, I understand when a person is out there and you can see him and he playing, you got his name on the jersey. Oh, he's well enough to play. But man, these dudes be dealing with all type of injuries. And I can tell you right now, if you ever dealt with a high ankle sprain or had your ankle sprain at any time, you know that it takes weeks, sometimes even months, in order for you to get back. Depends on the severity of that injury. So I think that you're starting to see Paulson Adebo play a little bit better. I've seen the last couple of games that the Saints had at least a 3-game stretch where I feel like he played some of his best football. Earlier, like when he got back, when he was going up against Jamar Chase and going up against some of these other receivers, and he wasn't getting the best of the matchup. I just think that it had a lot to do with his ankle sprain. So, but as far as Alontae Taylor, I like the dog in him. I like the never say die attitude. I like the fact that no matter if he does get beat on a play, he has amnesia. He has this level of confidence about himself that you like to see in a young player. And if that can actually be nurtured, I can see him being a really good cornerback. Not a lockdown. I don't see lockdown, but I can see a solid cornerback opposite of Marshawn Lattimore. Question. So TJ, you're the manager at a radio station, right? So if you brung the radio station up to WWL, seen you and offered you a job, you wouldn't take it. You said, wait, if they offered me a job, would I take? Yeah, I would take it. Like, look, my passion is sports, right? Let me put it to you like this. I've been doing the State of the Saints podcast since 2018, right? Some of y'all know this, all right? The whole entire time I was working at the radio station. But I think that anybody can tell, like if you hear me on the radio station, not to say that I phone it in, but when I'm talking about sports, it's like night and day, right? My passion is sports. My love is sports. So if I was to go and do something that involves sports, of course I would do it. Here's the difference, right? When you are saying, on one hand, I'm talking about, I guess I assume you're alluding to the Deion Sanders thing. So I'll say this, all right? When Deion Sanders came to Jackson State, he ran basically his whole campaign on HBCUs and putting, attention on HBCUs and showing love for HBCUs and getting the right talent to come to HBCUs so HBCUs can go pro and they profile can grow. Now, there's a difference, right? You go to a HBCU, right? Because you say that's where you're supposed to be and you want all these things that you want to do. And you leave the situation to go to something that's the complete opposite of what you're saying that you're trying to do. So, yes, but if money is involved, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure you're going to make you think about it, but it's not going to make me look bad. It's not going to make me look bad if I am the general manager of a radio station, right? I really am. You know what I'm saying? Just recently. If I leave and go somewhere else and doing sports, it won't make me look bad because everybody at the station knows that I love sports. Everybody at that station knows I do a podcast. Like y'all, some of y'all see episodes from the radio station. So I just think that is a little bit of a difference. It's a little bit of a difference. Like you can't you can't just run your campaign on something else and then just do something like a complete 360. Like people gonna look at you like you're insane. Like what the heck is wrong with this dude? Now GSU and Southern Alcorn coming out the closet like Tampa Bay. Let's see. Chris Harris Jr. should have stayed retired. Bucks got 2 cornerbacks out. That's crazy. I had a grade 1 high ankle sprain in college. It swelled to the size of a softball and kept me off my feet for 2 months. Yeah, man, that's serious stuff right there. That's serious stuff. Ain't nobody from the South going to play in no cold ass Colorado. Well, he did. He did. Too damn cold in Colorado. I'm just being honest, man. Look, I like Colorado. To be honest with you, ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm happy. Like I'm happy for the University of Colorado. Because quite frankly, I used to enjoy watching the University of Colorado growing up as a kid. Like seriously, I can remember like I was young, like watching Rashawn Salam, like when he won a Heisman Trophy. I want to say back in '94. I remember when Cardell Stewart was there. Like Cardell Stewart was Slash. Like I mean, they were really good. Like when Cardell Stewart was there, like they should have been a part of the national championship game. I think they end up like getting snubbed because of Michigan, but they always been good, and I always liked them. I have no problem with that. At all. But I said I ain't mad at him getting his money. Just man, just put some respect on my school name. Like Jackson State ain't just some mere charity case. Like Jackson State, one of the most respected HBCUs in the country. So it's not like I just don't like that narrative. Like, man, you just saying all these different things and just make it seem like like they basically just got some old slave quarters from the 1800s over there or something like that. Like Jackson State really works extremely hard, and for the reputation at school. And yes, they had some down years, and yes, we were not very good in football over the last couple of years, but what we're really good in academics, right? You got people that are part of academia that want to come to this school because of the programs that we offer. So put some respect on my school name. In 2024 and 2025 season of college football, they're going to have a 12-game playoff. Do you think Jackson State can be one of them teams in the playoffs in that point of time if they're a good team?
Hell no, to the no, hell to the no.
Look, I love my school, Brian, but let's keep it a buck. That's not happening, man. That's not gonna happen. Number one, the lack of respect that HBCUs get in the first place won't even allow them to even be considered for that. That has a lot to do with the fact of Shedeur Sanders, joining his dad in Colorado to go to the Pac-12 because he feels like that's probably going to be the only way he gets national recognition from the NFL, people recognizing him as being a legitimate threat. So we know that they ain't trying to do that. So absolutely not. I remember Eric Bieniemy at Colorado. Let's see, everybody left. Says, I hate Prime is leaving. I wonder how those guys feel being that they came for JFU for Prime. Rob, embarrassed, hurt, I'm sure. Like they if you have not seen it, there's a video that's surfacing of him announcing it to Jackson State players, and you can see those guys in the audience. Like some of them are really, you can really see like the anger on their face because I mean I even think about the guy Travis Hunter who was the biggest signee in HBCU history, right? 5-star recruit comes to Jackson State, right? I mean Deion Sanders didn't even know that he was going to sign. Talked to him, didn't know he was going to be signed seriously. Basically, just kind of flipped the script on everybody. And this man comes here with the belief that you're going to be here, and he believed in what you're doing, and then turns around and he's like, for that he could have went to Florida State. For that, he could have went to Alabama. For that he could have went to Georgia or any other school. All those other guys that you recruited, like okay, it's possible for these guys to go to HBCUs. And now that I showed you that it's possible, let me take them with me to a power conference school. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Let's see. I already read that one. Read it. But they're losing. Yep, he was telling them not to enter the transfer portal. I heard he was taking Hunter with him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is going to take Travis Hunter with him. I mean, he's taking his son that's already won, Shedeur Sanders. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be taking like some of these other guys that's probably younger, like Coleman and, probably like some of them pass rushers, the offensive line. But, man, look, I know those dudes are supposed to be good, but man, now they're gonna really be competing with guys that's like real true 5 stars. So you have to ask yourself, like, okay, if this man can recruit like these 5-star players because now he got major university backing, like how appealing and how impressive are you? So that's why I'm just being real. You have some of these guys that are good, but like when it comes to HBCU standards, like incredible when it comes to HBCU standards. But if they was to go somewhere else, like they'll just be you know, a little guppy out there in that water. Like that's just how it is. You're a big fish in a little pond in the swag. But if you think, okay, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna dominate out here, and you going up against a guy who, could have went to Alabama but decided to go to Colorado, or could have went to Georgia, it's gonna be hard. So I agree with him. He right about telling some of them that they need to stay, or they're gonna have to go somewhere else. Maybe go to another school, but I was just giving Jackson State credit because they won their division. Yeah, but I mean, Brian, look, when it comes to FCS football, unless you North Dakota State or something like that, like they ain't giving you that type of attention, man. Like when it comes to HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, like we barely can get on TV, right? So to say that they gonna, put them anywhere in somebody college football playoff, nah. Chris Harris can play safety and replace May or Matthew. TJ, what do you think of the chances of Pete and Laddie Daddy playing tomorrow so Laddie can spank his son? I think that Marshawn Lattimore most likely will play. Based on I'm only saying this based on the Saints' behaviors when it comes to players practicing. If they've been hurt, they activate them, give them like 2 days of light practice. They won't play, and then they'll probably practice again, and then they'll probably be questionable and then play. The Saints have a bye, so I look for Pete Warner probably to play after the bye. I think that's probably what they wanted to do. Bring him back to practice, get him some practice in, get him some reps. Then, have him back by the bye week or after the bye week. Watched the Deion Sanders press conference and he kept bringing up no crime. Yep. Started bringing up no crime. His assistant was talking about, you can finally breathe fresh air. Like just Lil Knox, okay. All I'm saying is at the time when nobody really wanted you to come coach at their school because you didn't have the credentials to do so. Like at the time when he was looking for a head coaching job, the reason why he only can coach in high school, and I've said this on the podcast, the only reason why is because he didn't have a degree. Like he went to Florida State, but he didn't graduate. Deion Sanders got his degree in 2020 from like one of those little speed up semesters at Talladega College in order for him to be eligible to coach on the college level. And Jackson State, along with a few other schools, were only schools that be willing to wait for him. And Jackson State being one of the only HBCUs that was doing it, he looked at it as an appealing and a possible profitable situation. So that's the reason why he chose JSU. It was never designed for him to be there forever. It was never designed for him to be there longer than 5 years. I mean, it was just basically a spot for him to kind of get started, right? Let me just go ahead and build a little something here. All this stuff is if you look at it, it's smart. You know what I'm saying? It's good marketing, but it was premeditated. Like from anybody that's watched any of them games, from Jackson State being up by 20 points, but still allowing Shadur Sanders to throw the football to pad up stats. From basically, turning Jackson State into like a pass first team, even when a running back is getting hot in games, you're still not wanting to use them like that. Still using Shadur to throw the ball. Like it's stuff like that. Basically, he did all these different things kind of to elevate the brand of himself. In the process, I think he did some great things for Jackson State too. Like I can't take that away from him, but I think he did more for himself in the process than he did for Jackson State. But once again, Jackson State already was a relevant HBCU. Like people know what Jackson State is. Like they know what Southern is, what they know what Grambling is. They know, Morehouse or, some of these other ones. I think Eddie Robinson Jr., he ain't swag comment hit a little harder now. Yeah, I mean, man, looking like a prophet now. And then the thing about it, the craziest thing about all this is, right? Eddie Robinson Jr. says this. He creates that, right? And Deion Sanders profits off it, right? So the whole term "who ain't swag" came from a completely different person, and he basically just flipped that and made it his own, which is like great marketing. Like I said, great marketing team by him. He's a capitalist. If the New Orleans Saints wins tomorrow night with Andy Dalton, all the media is going to say, where was this quarterback all season? I don't know about that. Yo T, what's going on with Jameis? Derek just not working, bro. Just not working out here, bro. I wish I can tell you more. They just don't have no faith in that man. They just don't have any faith in him. My prediction is the Saints are going to lose again. BNG Breakdown Podcast, doing my best, Jerry. The house just feels so empty without her. Yeah, that's Aaron from the Black and Gold Breakdown Podcast. He lost his grandmother a couple of days ago. My heart goes out to you, man. Like seriously, my heart goes out to you. I mean, I know what your grandmother mean to you, and she knows what she meant to you. But there's this saying that says, "Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal." And I know it don't feel like that right now because you feel, it just happened. But this is a time where you wrap your arms around the people that love you, and you look to God, man. Look to God to give you closure, to give you peace, to give you an anointing, and every day He will give you that strength. But just look to Him, man. And continue to pray. Don't lose sight of yourself, and don't lose sight of your goals. I mean, you're a very talented individual. You have a lot of things going for you, and I know what your grandmother wants for you is to succeed in everything that you're doing. So even though if you feel like stopping right now, I'm sure your grandmother wants you to keep going. And everybody here that's watching this right now, that's watched anything that you did or read any tweet that you did, want you to keep going, brother. So keep your head up, man. I can't really blame Deion Sanders for taking that job. JSU needs to step it up on their own and try to get sponsors and try to improve the school's quality overall. Look, I agree. Like I said, I don't have a problem. My problem does not stem from nobody who wants to take advantage of another opportunity to take it. My problem is you talk about my school. That's what I got a problem. Right? If you want to leave, go on and leave. Okay. But one thing you got to remember: one monkey ain't stopping no show. This train gonna keep on rolling. This life gonna keep on going. You know why? Because one monkey don't stop no show. That just want to keep it like that. But I mean, if you happy, that's fine. But yeah, Jackson State, they just need to find themselves a head coach that's going to be there and that's going to be willing to build. And there's some candidates out there. I just don't want them to fall into that whole we got to get a former football, former celebrity type thing, because you're gonna find yourself being in the same situation. Hey, TJ, Coach Prime has got to know in the back of his mind that if he fails, he is not going to be able to come back to a HBCU. I don't think he's going to fail. I don't think. Look, people can say whatever they want, and people like, man, he's not going to fail. He's not going to fail because you have to admit, even if you went to another swag school, you got to admit he did what a lot of people did not believe he can do at Jackson State. And Jackson State dominated the swag for 2 years. So if he can do that and convince these 4 and 5 star athletes to come hang out in Jackson, Mississippi, to go to Jackson State where they don't have these facilities that's multi-million dollars. I mean, just do what they can versus, the University of Alabama. You convincing these guys who went to these visits to come there and play for you. Nah. And you got all these resources at Colorado. No, he is going to win. Now, I don't know if you're going to win a national championship. I don't know if he'll win. I don't know if he'll win a national championship. Probably will. He probably will. How charismatic he is, how much of a silver tongue he got. He probably can put together a championship team. So, but yeah, I just think that they just need to go back to trying to find somebody that's going to be invested in the community. That's going to be invested in graduation rate. Going to be interested in trying to build the school and not just trying to tiptoe out the back door. The first job they get. I think he gonna fail. I really don't think he gonna fail. It would shock me if he fails. Like, first off, he won't allow to anybody to know that he failed. He'll probably start finding ways to get out. He'll probably start making videos where he sound like he frustrated about something when he really not. He'll probably get his do boys that he got, to try to put stuff out here trying to say like, oh, we trying to do this, he trying to do this, but Colorado, man, I thought they wanted to do. I thought, yeah, you ever seen like one of them them people that be like, man, I thought you was ready, man. I like you told me, like, bro, I looked at you, I had this conversation with you, I thought you was ready, but it don't look like you ready. You be like, I'm ready. No, you're not. Yes, I am, man. I am ready. Like, that's kind of like what he be on, like, is everybody else fault? Like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I got this big plan. I got these big plans for everybody, and y'all don't see them. So let me get up out of here for y'all. Prime won't fail with a team that has one win. Only thing he can do is improve. Exactly. If he come out there and win 2 games next year, it's an improvement from what they did. Deion got it on his mind. He ain't gonna fail. He got them boys shook. Some will leave because they can't handle it, but others will lock in. Yeah, we'll see, man. TJ, if the Saints organization calls you on the phone and asks you as a fan, who do you want as a coach of this team, and who do you want as quarterback? It's all up to you, man. That's a lot of pressure right there. But look, if I can get any head coach to coach the New Orleans Saints, y'all already know it's Frank Reich. Frank Reich would be my choice to be the Saints' next head coach. My dark horse would be Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey would be my second choice. I'm only saying Frank Reich because Frank Reich's ability to, as an offensive coordinator and as a quarterbacks coach, he has done wonders with Carson Wentz, who people have written off, Nick Foles, who people have written off. And I just think that the direction that the New Orleans Saints are going in is going to cause them to have to look at the quarterback position and choose another signal caller, and not one in the image of a Drew Brees, but in the image of a new frontier of Saints football. So Frank Reich would be a guy that I can see spearheading that. Ken Dorsey is a guy that has been on offensive staffs. He was on the offensive staff of the Carolina Panthers before he went out with Sean McDermott to Buffalo. We see his passion. I know there's a video going around of him throwing papers everywhere because he's just so upset that the play didn't work. But the guy knows football, and I mean, I've watched Ken Dorsey for a long time. I mean, I remember when he was at Michigan. I remember not Michigan, but Miami, when they won the national championship. Well, they lost the national championship to Ohio State. That's the game that Willis McGahee, he tore everything that he had. But yeah, I look at guys like that. Like, that would be, my coaches. Frank Reich would be my first choice. Ken Dorsey would be my second. Third would probably be Brian Flores. I think that the Saints need a leader of men, a guy that can kind of bring them all together. Fourth would be Eric Bieniemy. I like his offensive innovation, but I just think that what you have in the locker room and what the Saints have collected together, I just think that you just need somebody that's going to be able to talk to these guys on a level and inspire them. Dennis Allen probably knows what he's doing, but he's just not an inspiring guy. You can't fake it. Like he went to the podium the other day and said, what? He said, I can't be something that I'm not. Right. So it's obvious that you're not motivational. So don't need to fake the funk. But as far as the quarterback position, if I can get a quarterback, my choice would be Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker will be there in spite the fact the Saints getting a first-round pick if they decide to trade the rights to Sean Payton or not. I think that Hendon Hooker will be there. I think that people are going to shy away from him. One, because he tore his ACL, and also they were kind of on the fence about him already. So you add the skepticism before, and now the ACL, he'll probably end up being there. So Hendon Hooker would be my choice. As far as somebody being in the National Football League, it probably would be Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley came in today. Lamar Jackson, hurt his knee. He came in. I think that, he kind of came on towards the end, tried to sustain some drives. He even got that game-winning drive today, against Denver. Baltimore couldn't move the ball even when Lamar was in the game. So Tyler Huntley would be, my free agent choice. Jimmy Garoppolo would have been another one, but I think what happened today with Jimmy Garoppolo is the reason why, a lot of people probably would be like, nah, I don't think so, because, even though Jimmy G can do some things, he does have a history of being hurt. And we know that the Saints have been dealing with injuries when it comes to the quarterback position over the last 3 years. So you want to find yourself somebody that's going to be durable. I know that's kind of like a hypocritical statement by me because I'm talking about Hendon Hooker, but Hendon Hooker hasn't had a history of being hurt. This has just been an unfortunate circumstance for the kid. So those are the guys that I would probably go with. If I was looking around the National Football League, that would be my coaches and that would probably be my quarterbacks. Malik Hooker and Jim Harbaugh as the future for the Saints. Well, I don't know if Michigan's gonna let Jim Harbaugh leave. I can't see that happening. The fact that Michigan has beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row, something that I don't think any Michigan fan probably thought they'd ever see again in their lifetime. He got these guys rolling. He got them back in the college football playoff. He got them back, as Big Ten champions back to back. So it's going to be a hard sell. I know that they had some talks before Kevin McConnell went out to Minnesota, which ended up working out for them very well, that Jim Harbaugh was supposed to be the original coach. But I don't know, man. The more I see things get hushed, the more that I sit back and I see how the Saints are kind of moving. I just feel like they already just gave Dennis Allen complete support. And maybe they are chunking it up like, oh, if the Saints didn't have all these injuries, then the team probably would have been better. We also need an offensive coordinator and can use all his playmakers on offense effectively. Yeah, that's definitely a good one. I think that, to me, if we can get somebody that has some experience on a coaching staff, maybe not been an offensive coordinator, but maybe somebody that's been under the offensive umbrella of a really good offensively innovative team over the years can come along. What I've been noticing is you've been having offensive assistants of the offensive coordinators. These guys have been the ones that have been getting jobs. They've been the ones that have been getting the jobs as offensive coordinators, and they kind of finagled that into a head coaching job. So look, I'm kind of open for a guy that we probably never even heard of. If that means that this guy can bring in some offensive innovation. If you not understanding what I'm trying to say right now, what I think the Saints need to do is just get away from those old norms. I just do, man. I just think that we are trying to reinvent the wheel. And by reinvent the wheel, I mean we're trying to find a quarterback the closest thing to Drew Brees. You're not going to find it, all right? Because Drew Brees was a special quarterback, and also the way that the NFL is moving and evolving is going to cause you to continue to take steps back. Because I think one of the biggest issues that we faced in years past was Drew Brees' inability to be able to run, you know what I'm saying, and move out of the pocket when he was under the rest, when the pocket wasn't as perfect as it needed to be. You know, you need a quarterback that's going to be able to do those things. And you also need offensive innovation that's going to be able to come up with a blueprint to help that quarterback be as successful as possible. So I wouldn't even be mad if they went out there and just got somebody when you know, like on one of those classic New Orleans Saints draft days where you like, who? I wouldn't even mind, you know, as long as this guy has a track record and you know, he can come up with some offensive innovation and I don't know, even convince maybe Dennis Allen to go for it on fourth down. I don't know, but something that can, like, you know, rally the troops and get us excited as a fan base, because you know, this is not normal. Well, some of us, we've been through this, but this is not normal to a lot of people that's a part of this social media generation. Could be a bad or a good thing. We need a number 2 running back. Mark Ingram is too slow now. Yeah, definitely want to look at the running back position, but that's something you probably can get late in the draft. As you can see, I mean, look, ain't nobody drafting no Earl Campbells in the first round no more. Nobody's getting these running backs. They waiting for the third and the fourth rounds, and these third and fourth round running backs are still as productive as a guy that's going in the late first or the early second. So it's not nothing that, you know, you can't address if you do your due diligence, if you do your homework, you got the right scout team. You can find yourself somebody that can be able to contribute and be opposite of Alvin Kamara. And if Alvin Kamara, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, you still got that case pending. So if he ends up going to, I don't know, I mean, he ended up being suspended for a couple games, you know, something that we thought was going to happen this year, this guy can kind of step in and maybe do some of the things that Alvin could do. San Francisco offensive coordinator is legit as well. Geno Smith would be a good for this offense. He uses wide receivers well. I mean, I wouldn't mind Geno Smith, you know, but I think that Seattle probably going to end up re-signing him. I don't know if they're going to sign him to a long-term deal because, I mean, you got to be smart about it. You can't just be like, okay, man, this guy showed us 1 year of production, but he's been in the league for 9. So we're going to go ahead and sign him to a long-term deal. No, I think you be smart about it. I think you give him something similar to what you gave to a Jameis Winston contract negotiation, where you give him like a 2-year deal, but you give him most of his money up front. And if he goes and he falls off a cliff, then guess what? Then you can find yourself drafting in the first round, maybe getting a chance to get at Caleb Williams next year. Is Michael Thomas coming back next year, or is he done? Well, contractually, he has to come back. I expect for the New Orleans Saints to try to keep Michael Thomas, but I don't think that they're going to want to continue to pay him the way that they've been paying him, especially for a guy that hasn't played. I'm not in that category where I feel like Michael Thomas doesn't want to play, or he's not interested in playing. Like, he just basically just took the money and said Cancun on 3 and forget the legacy, forget all the yards, forget all the catches. I do not feel that way. I just feel like Michael Thomas has had a really weird string of bad luck. And because of this, you know, it's causing people to be extremely frustrated with him, which causing him to be extremely frustrated because people are frustrated at him because he wants to play. And what you have is basically just a powder keg situation. That's the reason why you're seeing these comments on social media. That's the reason why you're seeing the frustration between the Who Dat Nation. But I think that Michael Thomas loves football and he wants to play. But the Saints also have to be smart about this situation. They can't be sitting around here waiting for Michael Thomas to heal and be continuously taking money off of the books in order to try to compensate for that. It just does not make any sense. What you need to do is try to find yourself another wide receiver in the draft. Yes, I'm saying it. Need to get yourself another wide receiver in the draft, opposite of Chris Olave. So if Michael Thomas, you can't get something done with him, or it's a reoccurring thing, and you know, you can get yourself Chris Olave on one side, and then you can have yourself another wide receiver with promise on the other side. No more of these projects, no more of these undrafted free agents who can probably give you a catch or two in a game, and that's good enough for us. No, what you need is some guys that's going to be able to stretch the field and do a multifaceted of things in order to allow your offense to grow. This is why we're in this situation, folks, because you only have one guy that's capable of doing some of the things that needs to be done at the wide receiver position. All these other guys are basically just role players, right? You need them to shoot a three in the corner. There they go, right? But you're not expecting for them to drive down the lane and score 25 a night. And that is the biggest issue with the New Orleans Saints, which they need to fix. You need yourself some playmakers, and you need some guys that's going to go out there and that's going to be able to generate some results. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for your time. Shouts out to everybody here. Thank you for your questions. I ask that you please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. We're also available on facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. And we have previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?